talk about World of Warcraft. So it has been in my belief, and I've been saying this for I don't even know how long now, but it's been in my belief that Activision Blizzard has been actively, no pun intended, trying to make World of Warcraft into a console video game. Okay. Even back when I was playing the game, they were simplifying the rotation. They were, because if you guys remember, if you've played WoW, it never really had like a super complicated rotation. Depending on the class you played, obviously, some classes had a much easier rotation than others. But ultimately, it was nowhere near as simple as it was now. But this game has been simplifying their rotation. They basically, from what I understand, they've been trying to do a one button rotation where you just press the same button over and over and it essentially does the rotation for you. And once I heard of that, I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely going to be trying to bring this to consoles, especially since one of their biggest competitors, which is Final Fantasy 14, is on consoles, right? So Final Fantasy 14 being on consoles does make World of Warcraft going on consoles make sense, right? Now, overall, I know some of the more hardcore, diehard WoW players probably scoff at the idea of the game going to consoles because it's been a PC game for its entire life. But I got to be real with you, man. World of Warcraft has been dying. Pretty bad. And I gotta be real. I think that going on console would at least allow them to get an initial surge of players that have never played this game. Can you imagine people on console who have never played World of Warcraft but have heard about it, checking out World of Warcraft for the first time and going through 20 years of content? 20 fucking years of content. 20 years. That is a lot, right? That's a lot to do. That'll keep people busy for a real long time and keep people paying for a really long time. So I think that a World of Warcraft lead now asking how players would feel about playing the MMO on a controller with a dedicated UI for the controller. But then apparently the fans fear that the PC experience will get worse. Now, I don't know how the PC experience will get worse if it's a dedicated UI, right? So having a dedicated UI means that it's going to be a different UI for the controller and then a different UI for PC players, meaning the PC players will not be affected by whatever the UI changes are in order to make the game able to be played with the controller. But I think what would happen is that if they don't make that UI any sort of good where people can play competently on a console, well, then you do actually affect PC players because now they're playing with people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. Nobody actually wants to play with somebody who's using a controller in an MMORPG like WoW if it's not designed for it. So it all depends on how they do it. But I'll say this, if they're asking this question, it's because they absolutely want to bring this game to consoles. It's only a matter of fucking time. It really is. Like, I think the people who don't think this game is not going to come to console, I don't think they're paying attention to what they've been saying and what they've been trying to get away with. But regardless, let's see. So it says, it looks like Blizzard is testing the waters for World of Warcraft to become playable on a controller. One of the long-standing MMOs producers is currently doing some research on whether or not players would enjoy as much, letting users have their say. They're going to try to pretend like this is a PC thing. So what they're going to try to do, they did the same thing, by the way, for Diablo. Do you guys remember when they started allowing Diablo to be played with a controller? Same exact thing. And then what do you know? Diablo ended up on consoles, right? So, like, I just want to be very clear. This is what they've been doing this for years. They're going to start off with trying to pretend like it's a PC thing. Oh, we just want to give you options. We just want to give you another option to play the game. And if you want to play with a controller, great. If not, play with keyboard and mouse. They're going to pretend like it's the option, but what it really is testing the waters to see if it becomes even doable. And then if it is doable, then they will end up putting it on consoles, right? Kane Bladed says you can already play with a controller. You can set up WoW on a Steam Deck. Yes. There's doing it the unofficial way, and then there's doing it the official way, right? So can you play with a controller right now? Sure, if you do an unofficial way of doing it. But for it to become mainstream and become an official way to play the game, well, that's different, right? That's a lot different. Not everybody's a modder. Not everybody's going to be, doing things like that to get the game playable on a controller. Most people are not going to care to that extent. But the moment it becomes a mainstream thing where the developers do it for you and allow you to have that option, well, then a lot more people are going to be more likely to try it out, right? So in any case, in the questions and answers session with Azeroth-centric outlet Wowhead, Holly Longdale, executive producer and vice president of World of Warcraft, proposes the question to the live Discord chat. How many players will be interested in experiencing the game on a controller with a fully dedicated UI for it? She asked, prompting a variety of responses and concerns. For her, she sees the value in catering to as many players as possible, since her taste in games is broad. But there are a lot of considerations here because World of Warcraft is built very specifically for mouse and keyboard PC architecture. The consensus in the immediate aftermath skews negative on Reddit. And yeah, of course it is, right? People are not going to want to see this go down because World of Warcraft, even though it's a dying game, it's one of those purist games. Like whoever's still playing World of Warcraft has anywhere between 10 to 20 years of investment. All right, we're talking about people that started playing WoW as a teenager and now they're almost in their 40s. You know what I mean? So there's people out there that are heavily invested. And when you ask people about potentially changing not the architecture, because really it's not, it's giving you another option. But when you ask people that grand of a change, they're going to immediately fight it. They're going to be less likely to be open to it because it's such a massive fucking change. It really is, right? So Purist game has it changed significantly from the start. I mean, it has changed. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about from a purist standpoint. People have been playing WoW for the longest time on PC, so they're going to view it as a PC game. The moment you bring up the word controller, even though you can use a controller on PC, controllers are inherently tied to the idea of consoles. So people, when they think of controller, they're going to look at you and be like, well, why are you asking that? Are you trying to bring this onto consoles or are you not? That's the question I'll be asking, right? I'll be shocked if nobody asked that question in this Reddit question, whatever, this like thing they were doing. They say, we fear the PC experience will get worse because they are trying to accommodate. Okay, well, there it is. Literally the first one. They are trying to accommodate console users. One player comments, for example, removing add-on functionality, custom ability, dumbing down classes, removing gameplay depth and complexity, etc. That's literally what I just said 5 minutes ago. They've been doing this for years. They've been dumbing down World of Warcraft. They've been making the rotations easier. They removed the add-ons recently. Most of them, not all of them, but I think they removed the combat add-ons recently. So all of this has been happening. And now they're asking, well, what do you think about playing the game on a controller? Guys, they are trying to bring this shit to consoles. I'm telling you. I've been saying this for I don't know how long, and people are fighting me on this. And I'm telling you, I believe that is their goal. They want to bring this to consoles. It's only a matter of time. Consoles can easily play World of Warcraft. Easily. The game is not a difficult game to play from a graphical standpoint. So all there is the UI, right? Inventory systems and the UI as a whole and the way you interact with it on a controller. That's the problem they have to solve. Once they solve that problem, they're going to bring it to console. It's going to happen, man. But anyway, this is the underlining anxiety, and I'm sure fans often tend to be pretty critical of Blizzard's decision-making without other platforms being on the docket. No game has become better when a PC game has to cater to a console game. Well, that's also true, in a way. There's a feeling that it might become a reality sooner rather than later, especially in the light of Microsoft now owning Activision Blizzard, pushing towards whatever the next gen of Xbox devices is, a sound plan for goading people into dropping their hard-earned cash. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that will World of Warcraft be available on current consoles? I don't think so. I think they will try to just make their way to next-gen consoles because we're only a couple of years away from that, right? We're only a couple of years away from PlayStation 6 and whatever the fucking Xbox Project Helix or whatever it's called. We're only a couple of years away from that. So they will more likely tend to go towards that versus anything else. And that's basically it. So I don't really know what's going to happen here ultimately, but I do genuinely believe that this game will come to consoles. It's only a matter of time. So if and when that day comes, I will say I told you so. I will. I will. In this situation, I will, because I really do feel like I'm right on this. I really do. I feel like it's definitely going to happen. So we'll see. We'll find out. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. World of Warcraft continues to get easier and easier. Yeah, ESO is another example. Yeah, exactly. Elder Scrolls Online is another example. If consoles can play Elder Scrolls Online, then World of Warcraft is no fucking different. It's going to happen. Just stay tuned. It's going to happen one way or another. There will be World of Warcraft on consoles, and that's going to be pretty mind-blowing considering that this game is 20 plus years old, and it is the pinnacle of PC gaming back in the day in terms of MMORPGs, and it somehow lands on consoles. It just shows a sign of the times where nothing is really meant for anything anymore, right? Like the Redditor said, if you're going to bring it on consoles, all we're seeing is a dumbing down of gameplay mechanics in order to do it, right? Like the fact that they removed add-ons, custom ability, the fact that they made rotations easier, gameplay easier, like that's affecting the game itself. That's affecting the people that didn't want to be affected. Like the PC players didn't ask to be put on consoles. They didn't ask for their game to be made easier so that you could put it on consoles, right? Like nobody asked for that. But you're going to get it anyway. You're just going to flat out get it anyway. So anyway, we'll see what ends up happening with this, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. So